Jeremiah, no!
What the heck, man?
You're ruining my experiment.
What experiment are you talking about? I was just making a sandwich.
I was doing an experiment to see what would happen with 2 loaves of bread. One loaf of bread that has no additives, no preservatives in it, and another loaf of bread that does. And what would happen if I left it out for 3 weeks? Don't you think it's weird that bread you were eating has been out for 3 weeks and it's got no mold on it? It's weird.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
I'm Dr. Ben Quist.
And I'm fitness expert Jeremiah Kruger.
And today we're going to talk to you about all the chemicals that they have in your food and what you can do about it.
Get ready for a long list.
So most of you are aware that there are many chemicals in the foods that you eat.
So there's chemicals like pesticides, herbicides, bactericides, fungicides. What do words with side even mean?
Let me check. Oh, the act of killing!
So, poison.
Yeah, and there's more stuff in there too. Here, I mean, we've got food dyes, we've got antibiotics, we've got hormones, we've got mold inhibitors.
Oh, okay, so that's what the experiment was.
Stop interrupting, I got more. We've got artificial flavors, artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, dough conditioners, GMO. The list goes like on and on. There's just so many chemicals.
So it's kind of like a chemical soup.
I guess you could say it's like that.
So doesn't the government regulate the chemicals that are put in our foods to keep it safe?
Well, the government kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. Several of the pathways for a food additive approval are regulated by the FDA, but one of the major pathways is not. So with this pathway that I'm talking about, the food manufacturer determines whether the food is considered GRAS, which GRAS stands for generally recognized as safe. So the food company takes their experts and they determine that the food is safe for you and I to eat.
So the food company takes their own experts to determine if their own food is safe.
Food additive is safe, correct.
That doesn't really sound like a good idea.
I know. It's like putting the fox in charge of the chicken coop, right? So even worse yet, Jeremiah, the food manufacturers sometimes get around even letting us know what they're putting in at all. Like nobody even knows because they use vague terms like artificial sweetener or natural flavor. And they can just put whatever they want in then. The FDA has no idea what's going in the food.
So natural flavors are not natural flavors?
Absolutely not. Going back to the example of my bread experiment, some of the chemicals that are put into bread commonly in the United States are as follows. So while these chemicals are super effective at preventing bread from molding, like we just saw, they also, many people think, are not safe for long-term human consumption. So that's kind of the downside.
So how do people like us avoid exposure to these chemicals?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked.
Good.
Pro tip 1, avoid ultra-processed and highly processed foods because obviously those foods are going to have more chemicals in them.
So pro tip number 2 is support the companies that are actually making an effort to try to make healthier food products.
One of those companies is where my family and I order our bread from, Organic Bread of Heaven. I know the name's kind of goofy, but the bread's really good. They use organic milled flour, they don't use dough conditioners, they don't use preservatives, and they don't use mold inhibitors. So if you want to check this company out, we have a link to it in the description of the video down below. Is it down below?
It'll be down below.
Okay, down below.
If people click that link, do we get money off that?
God, I sure hope so. We gotta make some money off this channel.
One day. Tip number 3 is eat organic. There's quite a large body of evidence that supports the idea that eating organic food is good for long-term health.
Pro tip 4, read the label. If you see a bunch of different chemical sounding names on there that you can't pronounce, it might be best to move on to a different food choice.
So additional with that is if you don't know what these names are, some of them might not be bad. You could download an app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A, and there's a camera on it where you'll scan the QR code or just the code on the back of your food label. It'll find that food and it'll find the list of ingredients in it and it can explain to you what these ingredients are and if some of them are bad actors or not.
I love the Yuka app. I just love it.
You find out what food is yuck. Pro tip number 5, obviously this is not just bread. A ton of the food that you see on the shelves that's in packages might have the same issue that bread does. One example is wine.
US produced wine can have over 60 different additives in it, and they don't even have to put it on the bottle. For example, I scanned my bottle of wine that I was looking at last night. I wasn't consuming, I was looking at it, and the Yuka app, it actually said, this was hilarious, it said, "We don't rate alcohol, you know you're doing something bad." That was hilarious.
That's actually really good.
It was super funny, but there are all 60 different additives. Many of the wine in different parts of the world, like Europe, Argentina, those wines have significantly less additives, and it's pretty amazing how many different dyes and weird things that we put into the wine here in America.
The U.S. treats us well. Why do you keep bringing up wine?
I didn't. You brought up wine.
That's a good point.
I don't even like wine.
Sure, right. Well, that about wraps it up. But unlike your bread, we're not processed.
That's so stupid. Please like the video. Please hit the notifications button so you can see our future videos when they come up. And please subscribe to our channel.
As always, thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.